What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for our last video today, we're going to be diving into Judas Breed, issue number 1. Now, this is written and created by Kenneth A. Brown, illustrated by Ryan Best, and lettered by HDE. Now, Kenneth Brown does self-publish this, but if you want to check it out, go ahead and check out down in the description. He's currently got a Kickstarter going right now, and it's got a tier that'll get you all 5 issues that are about to be out. Issue number 4 and 5 are the Kickstarter, but you can get all the back issues as well as the new issues with variants, I think for like 45 bucks. It's definitely the route I'm going, especially after reading issue number 1. I'm super excited about this line. But yeah, be sure to check out the Kickstarter. Be sure to check out all their social media so you stay up to date on when the next comics come in, so on and so forth. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we get into this comic called Judas Breed, we pick up in the year 2032. And we have a crew sent by NASA to investigate this unknown planet. Now, they've been to this planet about 8 different times at this point, and it follows our main protagonist, Connie Beaumont. Now, their first mission, or their first choice, was to find microorganisms, but that turned out to be a dead end, because the whole idea is to find life on this planet. And with that being a dead end, they had a breakthrough, because their satellites picked up what seemed to be some kind of tunnel systems within inside the planet. And this is about to be the 3rd one that they go into this month. And so they make their descent onto this planet. And more or less, this is them mapping everything. Mapping the tunnel systems, mapping the caves, trying to figure out if there might be any life on this planet. And if there's not, maybe there's something more valuable that can be found on this planet. And so they use their drill and dig into the side of the wall, revealing one of these cave systems. And so they go inside and they start doing their readings. They start doing their tests. They start, taking samples, so on and so forth. And they're bringing all of their equipment in. Now, some of this equipment is, basic scientific research stuff. Some of this is super advanced technology that is absolutely astonishing. And what we see here is 3 drones rise up. And they float. They kind of fly. And they're kind of like a flying robot, and I can see how these would be extremely valuable assets going through some caves like this. Now, realizing how big this cave structure actually is, they decide to split up. It's the best option here. Let's go different directions. Maybe we can all find something different. And as Connie kind of goes off by herself with her robot, she digs into the ground, and almost instantly, she finds something and calls everybody else over to her. And as they make their way, they find a freaking leg bone. Like, this is the discovery of a lifetime. Right here, right now, you found a bone on a planet that is said to not hold any current life. But as soon as she finds this, as soon as she sees it and everyone comes rushing over, her leg starts sinking into the ground. And she starts going down almost like it's quicksand. Now, the others of her crew run over to try to help her out, but Connie's stuck, and she starts to go deeper and deeper, and she tells the others to back off, to leave her alone, or they're gonna fall in as well. But it's too late, and the ground, it collapses all around them, with Connie falling in, and the others barely being able to stay on the surface. And the crew all calling down to her, trying to hear something from her. She makes a noise. She's alive still. She lets them know that she's okay, but her light has been knocked out. And so right now, she really can't see anything going on. And so the rest of the crew, they're trying to figure out the best option to bring her up. And they remember there being a winch back on the ship, so they have to go get that winch to bring her on board. And they send one of the drones down to give her a little bit of light while she's down there. And as the drone makes its descent, it shines the light on all the walls. And what we see is even bigger than a leg bone. What we see is skeletons of some kind of alien life form with 4 arms. Obviously not human. The rest of the crew is like immediately like, all right, we got to get down there. So I'm sure they use the winch or something like that. They all descend down into this cave inside a cave. to examine these specimens, and they think it's best to take one with them. So they slowly dissect and take one of these skeletons apart and put it into a box. That way they can take it back and examine it later and try to figure out exactly what this thing is. But as they're doing this, on the back of the neck of this skeleton, attached to the skeleton's vertebrae, we see some kind of fossilized bug, an arthropod. But it does look fossilized. It doesn't look like it's alive anymore. It's kind of like a large grub worm, if you will. And so having everything that they came for, she puts the grub worm in her pouch. You know, they believe it's to be fossilized, so why not? They bring the skeleton back with them. They got a lot of information. This is exactly what they came for. And so now they can get out of here. And so they get onto the ship and they start inventorying everything, getting everything stored away. And as the story progresses along, we learn some individuals' names. You know, we've learned Greg and Linda and things of that nature up to this point. But it's been really vague on who the whole crew is. And it's really focused on Connie. So our ship takes off and they go to dock with their bigger ship up in orbit. And as they're on the ship, they're going through kind of categorizing and itemizing all the bone specimens that they got. And as they're talking really just, you know, nonchalantly about how things went well and how everything's been going, we see Linda messing with this grub-like fossilized bug. And somehow she gets stung. Her hand is bleeding and it looks like she got a pretty big hole in her hand. And Connie comes up asking her what happened, and it says that the thing stung her. And what we see is a giant needle-like stinger protruding from the bug. And she didn't even realize it beforehand. Like, she thought she was being careful, didn't realize how sharp the stinger was and must have gotten stung. And so she goes to sit down, and when we look at the fossilized bug, we see the stinger wasn't always protruding and it retracts back into itself. And as they're going searching through for some bandages, Linda's looking over at the bug and it unfolds. It comes to life and it attacks Linda. It jumps at her with its needle protruding and it shoots her right in the chest. And we see Linda pinned against the wall and sitting there bleeding out, telling Connie she can't feel her legs. We see this bug start to slowly crawl up her body, and it takes its stinger and jabs it into the back of her vertebrae, into the back of her neck, and we see her eyes roll back, and this bug seems to have taken control like a parasite grabbing onto a host. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Personally, I think it was a lot of fun. It's a build-up into a sci-fi horror that kind of reminds you of Alien. That kind of reminds you of the Xenomorphs. And while I know a lot of creators don't like their stuff, you know, being compared to other people's work, it's really the only thing on the top of my head that I can compare it to, but it's unique. It's very different. You know, we're seeing these things take over humans, and we don't know to what extent. We do know that they could take over whatever being that they are on until it's dead, because we've seen them attached to the skulls of skeletons of dead aliens that they once had taken over. So who knows how long those things have been sitting there waiting for their next host to come along. And we also don't know to what extent they take over the host body. We don't know anything about this, and I like that. I like the first issue is very vague. There wasn't a whole lot of detail. We were really only introduced to Connie, more or less, but it left you wanting more. It left you needing to read more to find out exactly what is going on in this world and what this crew is really about to face. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and until the next breakdown.